What is up, YouTube? This is Destiny Heroic, and I'm here today finally with the deck profile of my Bujin deck. Obviously this is in real life as opposed to online. So let's just get right into it. This is using all of the new cards from Prio, and I'm very excited about it. Obviously we're starting out with the 3 Bujin Yamato, Jade and Yuki. This is pretty much always going to be your opening play. If you have it, or if you have Tenki, you're going to search this guy just to set up a thing in your grave and a thing in your hand and a Beast Warrior on board. Second, we have 3 Chaz. The reason I like 3 is because he maintains field presence. He's a tool to get at your Bujin Carnation. And in a deck that likes to control the field using Kaiser Coliseum, he is a really good way to maintain your single monster on the field. If your Yamato dies, you drop a Mikazuchi, and if your Mikazuchi died, you can then drop another Mikazuchi if you have the copies. So that's why I run 3. And I run 3 Hirumes, Lexus Rhodes. This card has made the Bujin deck very fast and very powerful. Even in the absence of Arasuda plays, this is a 2000 beater that you can pump up with Tenkis. It's a free summon of a level 4 that doesn't use up your normal summon. And it's part of a chain summoning that can deal a lot of damage that isn't quite an OTK, but it does a lot of damage. Maybe I'll show you that at the end of the video. I'm using 2 copies of Arasuda Bastion. The reason I only use 2 is because you generally don't want to be stuck with this guy as your only Beast Warrior. You really like to have something else. And I actually almost went down to 1 on this, because while he does create some amazing combos with Hirume, there's a lot of decks that are maining Max C, and if this guy gets Max C'd, that's really the only place in the Bujin deck where a Max C can hurt you. And since this triggers in the hand, they can Max C it, draw a card, and then draw another card off of your Exceed summon when you make it. So in light of those types of plays, Arasuda is not as good, but he still makes a Susanoo alongside if you use Hirume and Arasuda in one move, and it doesn't use your normal summon. So he's still valuable, but definitely not at 3. In terms of defensive hand traps, we're using obviously the 4 copies of Honest, 3 Cranes and 1 Honest. 3 Cranes is mandatory for maintaining a defense, and Honest is pretty much the same thing. You can do some pretty explosive plays with Susanoo with an Honest, if all your opponent's monsters are in attack position. Grave traps, we've got, I'm using 2 hairs. Some people are using 3. I think 3 gets kind of cloggy. And with Bujin Carnation, you can recycle hairs, so I stick to 2. And the fact that you can only use 1 per turn is a really good reason just to leave it at 2. 2 turtles. Targeting effects are a pain in the ass. When you have a Kagetsuchi out and they make a Silent Honor arc, it really helps to have a turtle available, because it's really the only answer to that play. And 2 copies of the Unicorns. Quilin blows up face-ups, troublesome monsters, or traps, or field spells, or whatever. Sinyo I really like because it's another Honest card. And if you're a Bujin player, you've come across a situation where you want to resolve a Yamato effect and dump something in the graveyard, but you also want to you want to add a Crane to your hand, but you don't want to dump anything from your hand. So this kind of helps you along a lot in that play. It puts a damage boosting card, an attack boosting card in your graveyard, and you don't have to deplete your hand. So that's why I use 1 copy of Sinyo. So that's the monster lineup. Let's do traps now. first of all, obviously 3 copies of Tenki. Tenki searches any of your Beast Warriors, whichever one you're missing for whatever combo you're doing, or just Yamato in your opening turn. I'm using 2 Kaiser Colosseum. Colosseum is a great answer to the current meta. It will, if you only have 1 monster up, it will keep the new Traptrix monster from getting a copy out of the graveyard and blowing something up. It keeps Geargia just sitting on their armor for forever, and it just does so much to the meta that keeping it on the field is really important. So I use 2 copies of Bujin Carnation. This is kind of your kill card. Once you have it set up and you've drawn it or you've searched it out with Mikazuchi, you just have to wait for an opportunity, and then you can make that play that I'll probably tell you about at the end of the turn, at the end of this video. I'm using 2 copies of MST. MST is not that great because just about everything that you hit with MST is chainable. But MST is in here for the decks that like to main things like Skill Drain and Iron Walls and all kinds of those, like Necro Valleys and all those bullshit cards that really make Bujin have a lot of problems. And finally, 1 copy of Dark Hole. You can use this with in combination with your hairs to keep your monster on the field and blow up all of theirs, but mostly it's to deal with big fields of problematic monsters, like especially things like Mermail that like to put Gaius out and stuff like that. And like Felgrand, you can force the Felgrand to target itself and then crane over it. So Dark Hole is an answer to big monsters that Bujin often has a problem with. In terms of traps, not much going on here. Just your 3 summon response traps, Fiendish Chains. I'm using Fiendish Chains over Breakthrough Skills because it has the added effect of stopping an attack, and you're not always going to have something to deal with an attack. So you're not always going to have like a Crane or a Mikazuchi to deal with an attack. So having the chain plus its effect negating ability is very valuable. 2 copies of Emptiness to keep the artifacts from doing anything too out of control. And because I don't like Geargias at all, I'm using 2 copies of Traptrix Trap Hole. So basically this is, they arsenal into their armor, and then when they go to flip their armor down, you flip this up and blow it up. And they have to end with nothing on the field. So now we're going to look at the extra deck. I'm using 3 copies of Susano. I make at least 2 almost every game. I'm running a 3rd because I actually don't own an Exciton Knight at the moment. I would drop 1 for an Exciton Knight if you have one. 1 copy of Kagutsuchi. This is to basically combat other Bujins and deal with mirror forces and stuff like that. I use a copy of Tsukiyomi. I don't bring it out that much, but the emergency draw power and the ability to attack into a destructive trap and then special summon a Beast Warrior out of your graveyard, I think is pretty valuable. 1 copy of Amaterasu. I really like Amaterasu. When you make a Hirume play and you put an Arasuda out, Arasuda has to come out in defense mode. If you already have a Beast Warrior on your field, and when you summon Hirume, you banish like a Yamato or something, you can turn this into you can turn the field into, instead of a 2000 and like a 17, you can turn it into a 26 and an 18, which is a little bit more damage, plus the effect of grabbing something from your banish pile and grabbing it back to your hand in response to an attack, like a Crane or something, makes this a really valuable card. It's not one to make all the time, but it's definitely one if you're ahead. Tiger King deals with things like Zenmaines, and it goes and grabs a Tenki if you don't have one. 2 copies of Honor Arc. in a deck that spams rank 4 Exceed monsters, this is really good. And it deals with big monsters that you don't necessarily have an answer to. It deals with some other Bujin cards and artifacts and stuff like that. 1 copy of Heartland Draco, because there's 2 Kaiser Colosseums and 3 Tenkies. So this will very often not be a legal attack target when it's on the field, and you can swing twice with it for 2,000 damage directly if you detach. So that's pretty valuable in the late game. And the rest is just one of technical cards. Dire Wolf to blow stuff up, Cowboy for the last 800 damage. Black Ship is another way to deal with Yamatos when they have turtles and stuff, or not when they have when they don't have turtles, but you know they have like Mikazuchis and stuff. Dwellers deals with artifacts, and Starliege will turn a big effect monster into something with 0 attack. So that's the deck, and the combo basically I wanted to show you. It's not too spectacular, but it's something that can end the game if you've already hit them pretty hard at some point. So basically what you do is you start off with a Bujin Carnation. So you go Bujin Carnation, you go and get your, I don't know, your, it doesn't really matter, like a Yamato and your hair, let's say. Let me see if I can find one. So your Yamato and your hair. I'm doing this with one hand, so I'm sorry if it seems like I'm not very dexterous. I am right-handed, and my right hand is holding the camera. So basically, you do this. You combine them for Susano. You detach whatever, and you go and get Hirume or Arasuda, depending on which one you're missing. Ideally, it's these 2 that you want to do, that you want to get. But if you have just something like a Mika or another Yamato in your hand, that works too. So you banish you detach your hair, you banish that to get Hirume, and then special Arasuda, and then you make a Tiger King wherever he is. Tiger King will then go and get a Tenki, and then Tenki can go and get you another copy of Hirume. And if your graveyard is set up or whatever, you can banish and summon another Hirume. And at this point, because of the way I've done it, you still have your normal summon, so you can then go and normal summon like a Quillen or something like that. This is lethal damage, especially if you're attacking with more than one monster with Susano. And the Tenki boost is boosting everything except the Quillen. Here you can also make something else like your Honor Arc or your Dire Wolf or whatever. If you do the Dire Wolf play and you still have a hair in your graveyard, because Susano is a Bujin Beast Warrior, you can detach from Dire Wolf, target Susano, banish the hair, and then blow up their card while keeping yours. So you can clear the field. This still isn't lethal damage. Usually this combo deals in the neighborhood of, with the 3 monsters, it usually deals around 7,000. But like I said, if you've hit them already, or if they've used their soul charge or whatever, then it's lethal damage if you're hitting, if all attacks hit. So yeah, that's the deck as it is now. I am not using soul charge because I don't like this deck. Bujin is kind of designed to own the battle phase. And if you use soul charge, you have to skip your battle phase, and you usually only ever summon 2 monsters with soul charge anyway. So I just use Bujin Carnation, and I get to retain my battle phase. So that's why I like that, and I don't use soul charge. So that's the deck. Let me know what you think. Rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm going to be, now that DevPro has put up the the new update that includes Sinyo, I'm going to be making some more Bujin videos that test out Sinyo. I want to test out more than one, because in this build I'm only using one, but I want to test out maybe even replacing Crane with Sinyo and see how that goes. So I'll be having another video with commentary going up in the near future. I don't know exactly when, but keep your ears out and keep your eyes peeled for it. So thanks for watching, and peace!